Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. It is April 8th, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, we have so much in the news. We have a Yellowstone warning that came out by NASA once again. And also we have a lot of news on this new Sunspot 2738. And also NOAA came out today with the solar report for the upcoming solar minimum. Also, folks, I know a lot of you may dislike what I'm about to tell all of you, but the facts are the facts and the truth is the truth. I received, well, I lost count at about 200, but I received so many emails and so many video referrals yesterday and today, once again, over this 3 days of darkness. And folks, as long as I could, or excuse me, as far as I could look back on this this rumor, I think I could look back on it all the way to possibly 2012. It seems that once or twice a year, this rumor of 3 days of darkness goes across the internet. It goes across YouTube. It goes across Facebook. It's been on Twitter over the last couple of years. And a lot of you sent me a video referral that was of this very, very old lady reading some paperwork and going over, I guess it was some kind of scriptures and some kind of, readings from the Bible. And, she was basically saying, hey, you better prepare because we're going to be looking at 3 days of darkness coming very, 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 very soon. And again, folks, I address this every single year, sometimes twice a year, when this huge rumor mill comes out about this 3 days of darkness. And to tell you the truth, folks, maybe it's coming out because we have this big sunspot 2738 turning towards Earth. And I'm going to touch on that too, folks. I noticed there was a lot of hype going on. A lot of you were watching other YouTube videos and I guess getting kind of fearful. And I'm going to tell you the truth, folks. This sunspot 2738 that is turning towards Earth, it is showing a lot of activity. The negative and positive portions of the sunspot are moving very, very close together. It does have the ability to produce a coronal mass ejection while it is Earth facing, which will be in a couple of days. And I'm going to go over all of that information with you. But I'm going to be very truthful with you. I have seen conditions on the sun back in 2012 and 2013 and 14 that were 10 times worse than what we're looking at now. The only difference is, like I've said before, we are moving very rapidly into this solar minimum where the sun's activity starts to trend downward. As the sun's activity trends downward for this 11-year period, the sun's magnetic field gets weaker and therefore the Earth's magnetic field gets weaker. So that's where we kind of run into some trouble. If we were to be faced with a coronal mass ejection, a very large one that was Earth facing, at the time when our magnetic field is weakening, yes, we do have the potential for more widespread damage to our electrical systems and the internet and GPS satellites and the space station and, basically the Earth in general. there's no way to predict that any of this could possibly happen. Scientists, excuse me, my goodness, choking on my own words. Sorry about that. But there is no way that scientists can even predict these coronal mass ejections. Not even with all of the technology that we have out there in space, all of the spacecrafts monitoring the sun. So, you know, we have to deal with all of this hype. And, you know, I'll be the first to say that there is no way to predict this 3 days of darkness. It is pretty much an ongoing hoax that has been portrayed over the internet for years now. And like I said, it's usually 2 or 3 times a year that this hoax goes around. My email box lights up like a firecracker on the 4th of July. But anyways, folks, if we ever are faced with 3 days of darkness, I can tell you this much, okay? It's going to be a hell of a lot longer than 3 damn days. If anything happens to our electrical grid, it is going to be longer than 3 damn days. And you're sure as hell not going to find it in Bible prophecy. I'm sorry. I don't mean to piss people off that are, you know, religious and so on and so forth, but, you know, I'm just trying to deal in facts here. And those are the facts. It won't be 3 days of darkness. It might be like 3 years or even 10 years. And those are some of the predictions that if we ever do have an EMP event or a coronal mass ejection event that was big enough and large enough to affect the Earth and our power grid, it would take approximately 10 years to repair it, not 3 days. 3 days of darkness? Nah. And even if this involves, you know, eclipses and things of that nature, once again, it's just kind of a big hype over the internet, this 3 days of darkness. But I want to go ahead and get into this Yellowstone warning. I have an article posted on the Planet X News website, and we will go ahead and check it out right now. Okay, folks, we're over here at the Planet X News website. And once again, you know, this article just came out today, and the headline was NASA warns catastrophic supervolcano poses bigger threat to mankind than an asteroid. And, you know, it's kind of funny that this article came out today, and I was, you know, researching some of the material. But earlier this morning, I was watching a documentary. It was like 2 hours long, and it was going back all the way to prehistoric times, the extinction of the dinosaurs, and so on and so forth. And these geologists were looking at different layers of rock all over the world, and you know, they were looking at this volcanic ash layer. And it was very, very interesting. And they were showing some animations about, you know, asteroids hitting the Earth and what it would cause, such as, you know, massive tsunamis that would be 200 to 500 feet high. The volcanic ash spewing in, or excuse me, not the volcanic ash, the meteor ash as it hit the Earth, spewing into the atmosphere and, you know, creating like this nuclear winter. The same thing can apply with Yellowstone. And, you know, once again, it seems that this material comes out a couple times a year. And I don't know if it's subliminal. I don't know if they are trying to tell us something other than, hey, we know one day, sometime in the near future, you know, Yellowstone is going to have one hell of a hiccup, and it's going to cause a lot of destruction. But the article goes on to state that NASA has warned that a catastrophic supervolcanic eruption poses a bigger threat to humanity than an asteroid. An eruption at Yellowstone, for example, would be an apocalyptic event, one which human beings have never experienced. Well, I could definitely side with them on that. It would be apocalyptic. Boy, that's one hell of a word to try to spit out. But, anyways, folks, I'll leave a link to this article, and it's not very long, but at the very end of this article, again, I tend to think sometimes that they're putting this information out there, in kind of a subliminal way. And, they say, okay, well, what can you do? Well, there's nothing that you can do. And, it states right here, as of now, there is no good solution or fix to the eruption. Continue to be prepared. Continue to be prepared. How in the hell can you prepare for a catastrophic supervolcanic eruption? I don't think that you can prepare unless you have some super sophisticated, multi-million-dollar underground bunker with very, very good air filtration systems, and probably several years of food. I mean, similar to what the government has. But again, it gets under my skin whenever they do this, because they know damn well that there's no way for anybody on this planet to prepare for a Yellowstone catastrophic failure at that caldera. There's just no way to prepare. That kind of volcanic ash would encompass the whole entire Earth, within a matter of a few short days. Any human life within 100 miles, 200, 300, 400, 500 miles, you'd all be dead. Plant life, gone. Animals, gone. Any living thing would be dead. So how do you prepare for that? You can't. So again, all of these warnings coming out. I mean, does it make us think that, okay, something's up, something's about to happen? Or are they programming each and every one of us by putting these articles and these warnings out there? Makes you wonder. And I stay on top of all of this information, on a daily basis. But again, they put out this warning. Catastrophic supervolcano poses bigger threat to mankind than an asteroid. Well, folks, if a 5-mile wide asteroid hit the Earth like they say it did 65 million years ago, it wiped out all of the dinosaurs. It changed the entire Earth forever. So if you put this on a scale and you weigh Yellowstone against an asteroid, it's almost equal. Period. So I start to think, why are they putting these warnings out there? And me personally, I think that they are getting all of you, us, used to seeing these warnings, talking about these types of warnings. It's all subliminal. maybe they know more than they are actually telling us. But if you live anywhere near that blast zone of Yellowstone, you're a goner. That's just a fact. If you're anywhere near a blast zone from an asteroid 5 or 6 miles in diameter, it's over. It's done. The amount of percussion and heat, no living creature could withstand it. So again, you're a goner. Should we actually live our lives like that, in constant worry? Probably not. Is it good to know about these things? Probably. But, the continual worrying about this 3 days of darkness, I wouldn't worry about that. That's just nothing more than an internet hoax. But some things that do pose risk is dealing with this solar minimum, the sun losing more of its magnetic field, affecting our magnetic field, solar radiation, things of that nature, things that you can actually live through that will make you suffer. So what I'm trying to say, a blast from a supervolcano or an impact from a massive asteroid, you're not going to suffer. That's going to be, boom, lights out. But getting into things that are happening on our sun, which influence the things that happen on Earth, well, those aren't instant killers. Those are things that eventually make you suffer. We're already seeing massive changes in our weather, our climate. That's going to affect the food chain. That's going to affect a lot of things. But I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this article, and we're going to take a look at this sunspot. Okay, folks, we're over here at the Solar Dynamics Observatory, and we are looking at this pretty large and pretty active sunspot, 2738, and it is moving to an Earth-facing position probably over the next 3 to 5 days. We may be worrying about this for about a week as it passes by. And again, the Earth's position is about right here where my cursor is, if you could see that on your screen. And we're looking at a composite view from the SDO, and you could see there is quite a lot of activity with this sunspot. But folks, again, I have seen, I've been watching the SDO for years and years and years now. And during a solar maximum, wow, the sun is just literally polluted everywhere with sunspots. We're going to go ahead and move down to the 211, give you a little bit different view, different color. You can see, it's pretty impressive to look at. And it is kind of odd that this type of sunspot would be forming as the sun's moving into this solar minimum. And I have the report available, what NOAA just put out yesterday, and a lot of it came out today about this this solar minimum and their predictions. But I was getting a lot of again, a lot of emails today that were coming in, and people were referencing all of these videos that were being put out, and I guess they were like fear-mongering type videos. I didn't get a chance to watch any of them because I've been studying the sun for so long. When we're dealing with a situation like this where we do have a rather large and very active sunspot turning towards the Earth. Folks, it's just a waiting game. I have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sunspots move past Earth facing and cause no issues whatsoever. But there is always that factor that it could produce a CME. And when these sunspots do produce a CME, and they're big and they are Earth facing, the damage to our electrical grid is really what you have to worry about. It's not going to destroy the Earth, but it can destroy infrastructure. And when that happens, well, that affects your life in many, many, many different ways. And I'll go ahead and get into that, because we did have a situation many years ago where Earth just missed being smacked by one of the fastest CMEs that was ever recorded. But we'll go ahead and get into that. But this is just giving you a view on the SDO as this sunspot starts to turn towards Earth. And again, folks, anything could happen within the next 3 to 7 days as this sunspot moves by. And, I'm going to be watching it. I've been watching it very, very carefully. I've been getting all of the reports on it. And as of right now, nothing is really showing that is going to be any type of risk to the Earth at this point. And again, let me reiterate, there's no way to predict that this sunspot is going to produce a CME. We will have to really worry about it for, I would say, about 3 days as it passes straight by in front of the Earth. And the Earth will be, well, right about here where my cursor is. So any coronal mass ejection from that sunspot, we would definitely be in its path. There's no doubt about it. You can see right here as it starts to move into view. Now I have a still photograph of this, and I'll go ahead and pull that up. And we'll jump out of here real quick, and we'll pull that up. And I've got some pretty good views of it. Now, this was a really, really good close-up telescopic view from the SDO. I know it doesn't look like much to you guys, from this vantage point, but it's pretty cool to use the technology so we can see these things. And here is the magnetogram, and this is the sunspot 2738. Now let's zoom in as close as we can. Let me explain this. The negative and positive areas that you see here, the red and the blue, and then you see the green all around it. There's usually a decent sized separation between the negative and positive sides of a sunspot. In order for them to produce a CME and an explosion, that is when the negative and the positive get so close together and they actually touch. They merge. And whenever they merge, boom, that's your coronal mass ejection. Now, anybody who was analyzing this, and solar scientists and other people on YouTube that know what they're talking about, we are in a little bit of a cautious stage here, because the area between the negative and the positive has decreased considerably. Now, it can stay right where it's at the whole time it passes by, or it can merge within a matter of hours, and that's what produces that large coronal mass ejection. Even at this point right here, off to this side of the sun, if this were to merge and produce a pretty large coronal mass ejection, we would definitely be in the path of the wave that would be coming. So that's what I mean, when I was saying that we have some time to kind of be on guard as this passes by. So you're looking at it. It's here today. It will be around here tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And again, you're looking at probably a good 5 to 7 days. And then even when it gets over here, folks, if it produces a coronal mass ejection, those coronal mass ejections are huge. And we will probably get smacked by it, kind of on the outskirts of it. But I have some video from 2012, and this was actually, it reminded me of this occurrence, but it was actually, let me go ahead and get out of here. It was actually in the solar report that that NOAA has put out. And I'll leave a link for this if you guys want to go ahead and read it. But it's concerning the solar cycle 25. This is their preliminary forecast. And this is referring to that solar minimum. And they're predicting that we're going to go ahead and jump into this solar minimum around July 2019, this year, but no later than September 2020. So this right here is the range, and it will peak right about here, 2025, and then start to decrease, going back into the sun's normal state, and then into a solar maximum around 2030. So you can see there's an 11-year span here that we're going to be dealing with this solar cycle 25. And folks, even these solar scientists, they admit that there is still so much that they don't know about this process. So, when you're listening to other people on YouTube and they're giving you all of this information, if they're not legitimate solar scientists and physicists, it's okay to listen to what they have to say, but I always recommend trying to do your own background checking, get your own information, read up on this type of science, and, you can fill your mind up with a lot very, very quickly, just like the 3 days of darkness. But getting to this solar cycle 25, this is the official report that they've put out so far, and I'm sure there'll be many updates to this. I'll leave a link for this also, and you guys can check it out. If you just go to Google and you Google solar cycle 25, all of this information will come up, and you can read about it for yourself. A lot of it that we have right here, it's kind of scientific. I could read through it. I'll probably lose 90% of you as I read through this. But the big issues when these solar cycles start, we have very, very low sunspot activity. Therefore, the sun's magnetic field weakens. And if we do have a coronal mass ejection, the effects are worse. The effects are greater. And now, because we are so far into the future with technology and we rely so much on technology, our power grids can be destroyed. And as it says here, space weather can affect power grids, critical military applications, airlines, and shipping communications, satellites, GPS signals, and so on and so forth. And if you're an astronaut up there in the International Space Station, I would definitely not want to be up there. And because you're going to be subjected to very, very harmful exposure to radiation. Now, this reminded me of an occurrence, and I remember this back on July 23rd, 2012. This was a situation where the Earth could have been hit by one of the fastest recording CMEs ever recorded by modern day scientists. And it was recorded on the Stereo A spacecraft. And if that coronal mass ejection would have impacted the Earth directly, they estimated that it would have done anywhere from $600 billion to $2.6 trillion worth of damage. And it states, particularly to electrical infrastructure, such as power grids. It would have been similar to the 1859 Carrington event. And Dr. Albers has done some reports on that Carrington event. I have talked about it quite a bit. If you guys want to research that, just go to Google and type in 1859 Carrington event or just Carrington event. Very, very interesting reading material. Definitely fill your mind with some good stuff. But these are the things that we should worry about. We shouldn't worry about 3 days of darkness. Okay? If anything like what happened on July 23rd, 2012 happens now or any time during this solar minimum, the entire Earth will be in jeopardy. And it sure as hell won't be for just 3 days. You could be looking at weeks, months, years, possibly even 10 years of total darkness, meaning no streetlights, no electricity. We would be in some serious trouble. Now, I have a video prepared for what occurred on July 23rd, 2012. I'm going to pull that up now so you can see how powerful that coronal mass ejection was. The speed was the fastest speed ever recorded for a coronal mass ejection. Let's check that out. Okay, folks, I have the footage pulled up here, and this was from July 23rd, 2012. And this was not an Earth-facing CME, but if it was, this is what would have caused trillions of dollars worth of damage to our power grids, as many people like to call them. So these are some of the factors, and these are some of the things that I worry about. You know, all of you can pretty much go through your day-to-day life and, you know, worry about your own life. But these things, this is what I worry about. I've done so much research and so much investigative work into what is out there lurking near our sun, and then putting all these factors together with the solar minimum, the effects of Planet X on our sun, now this very, very rapid, intense climate change, the heating up of the Earth, possible ice ages due to massive volcanic eruptions, hell, even an asteroid hitting the Earth of a large size. These are the things that I worry about because I research them every single day. But I'm not sitting here fear-mongering. We're just dealing in facts. And those are the facts. But let's check this out. This was July 23rd, 2012. This was on the Core 2 Stereo Ahead spacecraft. And you can see that looks like a pretty impressive coronal mass ejection. Now, that was not Earth-facing because the Core 2 spacecraft, the Ahead spacecraft, is not out in front of the Earth. It's off to the side because you had Stereo A and Stereo B, one off to the left, one off to the right. They took Stereo B out of commission. I know that's what they did. But we still have Stereo A. I'm going to go ahead and stop this right now. This is the CME tracker back on that date of July 23rd. As you can see your scale up here, the color scale, it will show you the planets. Earth in yellow, Mars red, Mercury, Venus. So right here where my cursor is, that was the Earth. Here's your sun right in the middle. And the square box, the red square box right here, Stereo A, it was right there. Right off to the right side of the Earth if you're looking at it in this direction. And it took every bit of this coronal mass ejection impact. And you'll see, let me just jump back just a little bit here. I'll go ahead and start this, and you will see the wave of energy come right off of the sun during that coronal mass ejection and head out towards Stereo A. And remember, this is, well, we're 93 million miles away from the sun. Stereo A is about 84 million miles away. So this coronal mass ejection, the pulse of energy traveled 84 million miles to this impact out this way. We'll go ahead and check it out, and it will run a couple of times. And I slowed it down so you can see it. And then you see how that widens out. So that's what I was saying. Earth dodged a major bullet. And when we're talking about this new sunspot 2738, even though it's slightly above the sun's equator and we're slightly below, you can see how expansive a very large coronal mass ejection can be, especially at a time when Earth's magnetic field, Earth's magnetopause is weakening. So therefore, yes, we are at a greater risk during that time. And again, we are just in the very, very beginning stages of this solar minimum. See, folks, that is what I'm worried about. Because 11 years is 11 years. That's a long, long time. Some of us may not even be around in 11 years. Some of us may not even be around in a year from now. But just thinking and fathoming 11 years and the amount of changes that we are already seeing, the changes in our weather, the climate, this is blowing me away. I personally did not think that we were going to see these types of changes this fast. But it has just hit us like a ton of bricks over the last 6 months. And it's getting worse. I would love to show you some video right now that I got in from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil over the last 8 hours. I can't show it to you on here. It's on our private network. For all of you who have joined already, there are 2 full detailed videos of the catastrophe and flooding and raging floods down streets in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, right now. There are massive storms forming right now that are going to be heading across the United States that are going to be impacting tens of millions of people in just a matter of hours and then days. These are the things that I worry about. And you could see back here on July 23rd, 2012, Earth dodged one hell of a bullet. That, what you see on your screen, would have caused over $2 trillion worth of damage to our electrical infrastructure. 2.6 trillion. That's a lot of money. And you see how slow recovery is after hurricanes and floods. Now just imagine how slow the repairs would be to any nation on this earth. How slow the repairs would be to our electrical grid. Satellites, GPS, cable TV, cell phones, you name it. It'd all be gone. I mean, the only form of communication we would have is maybe sending smoke signals. And if you're not Native American, then, you don't know how to send smoke signals, because I sure as hell don't. This is what we're looking at. So these are the potentials. Now, I'm not saying that sunspot that's heading towards us is going to produce a situation like this, but what you're looking at on your screen, folks, is reality. It has happened many times before. It will continue to happen. It is just part of the nature of the sun and the earth. The only problem that I foresee, again, is the continual interaction between Planet X, its magnetic field, and the sun's magnetic field. To me, that's a huge problem, and an unpredictable problem. We can't predict any of this. No science, no spacecraft, no technology that we have can predict any of it. So I guess you can say that we're kind of like sitting ducks. But we all have to move on with our lives. You can't run around scared to death every minute of every day. Like the old saying goes, you only live once. Well, think of it that way. Live your life, do what you need to do, enjoy your family, your friends, enjoy the time that God's given you on this earth for now. But, whenever you see these panicky videos, 3 days of darkness, don't buy that crap. Just don't even watch the videos, because it's complete nonsense. Now, everybody's always worried about Yellowstone. Yeah, it would be terrible if Yellowstone exploded. But folks, there's not a damn thing that we can do. None of us are, multi-millionaires or billionaires that can afford those big, sophisticated underground bunkers. And I'm not sure if I would want to spend my last days stuffed down there with the possibility of massive earthquakes all over the place. And your billion-dollar bunker becomes your coffin. That's the way I look at it. If God's going to take me, he's going to take me whatever way he wants to. There's no way out of it. But this was pretty interesting, and I do remember this event, and I do remember the panic, and the majority of the panic was within, the space agencies and the government, because, they rely on all of their spy satellites and all of their military satellites, government satellites, GPS, things of that nature. And if anything like this happens now, oh man, whew, look out. Would be in some serious shape. There's no doubt about it. But I wanted to show that to you guys. I thought that it was very interesting. And real quick, I wanted to show you guys what is going on weather-wise. And let me go ahead and expand this. Let me move back a couple of screens here. Oh, by the way, here's our newest capture. If any of you guys missed this, this was just yesterday. But anyways, again, these weather patterns are changing very, very rapidly. Things are forming so quickly within the weather. We're barely getting any time for weather warnings. And as I was watching the Weather Channel and AccuWeather, and also monitoring my own satellite websites and checking out the jet stream, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, here we go. We had a little bit of a lull in weather. Not anymore. Bingo. It's all coming. So, this storm that just literally came out of nowhere, they're calling it a spring storm. Yeah, it's going to be one hell of a storm. Significant blizzard conditions Wednesday through Thursday. Wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. Impossible travel. Power outages, 1 to 2 feet of snow. Not inches, feet. This was a forecast map for Tuesday by 11 a.m. And these are wind gusts that are going to be coming off of this system off the west coast. 35 to 40 miles an hour, 15 to 20, that's not too bad. These are not too bad, but they are estimated to pick up. As that storm moves across, you can see the wind is going to be picking up. You can see the massive snow belt right here in the light purple. Freezing rain. This is the transition point, and then heavy downpours of rain. The problem is all of these areas just had some warmer weather, and a lot of these areas have already been inundated with floods. Okay, we've heard about what happened in Nebraska and Iowa and some of these other states. Now here's the other problem, folks. The long-range forecast, after this monster rolls through, dumps all of this snow and all of this rain, there's warmer temperatures coming behind it. And what does that mean? 1 to 2 feet of snow does what? Melts, turns into what? A ton of water. Where's our farm belt? Man, you're looking at it. Right here. And the farmers, they can't even plant anything yet. They should have been preparing for that planting season. They can't. You can see going into Thursday how intense this storm will get. You can see through the states of Michigan, Wisconsin, the better portion of Minnesota, all of these states. And then again, you have your transition point from heavy snow to rain. The people in Nebraska, I feel for you. As this system rolls through, it's going to wreak havoc. And by Friday, this upcoming Friday, you can see the storm does not weaken. There's a massive low pressure here, and it's going to be moving straight across the United States. We've had some moderate temperatures here over in the Northeast, the high 60s, low 70s. But as you can see, this massive line of rain that's going to just come in, it's going to dump a lot of water, and it's going to keep on moving east. So we already have saturated ground throughout the Northeast, from Ohio, Indiana, Ohio, all the way over to Pennsylvania and the eastern states. Still a lot of landslides, mudslides, things of that nature. We just had one 2 days ago, not too far from me. Big portions of, I think it's about a 500-foot cliff, full of like bedrock, sandstone. I showed you guys pictures of it before. More of that fell down. One massive size chunk fell that was the size of a small house. Just massive. They had big excavators over there with the jackhammer attachment. They were literally jackhammering it into smaller pieces, loading big dump trucks with front loaders to haul the material out. It destroyed the road. They'll have to repave and resurface the road, and a 100-yard section of that main thoroughfare is shut down completely. There's no way to get through there. None. It's actually very unsafe. And the reports are they don't know what they're actually going to do. They're afraid of reopening that stretch of roadway in fears that more rock slides are going to come down, and they could potentially kill somebody that is passing by. And it's happened before. So you can see the rain and snow outlook through Friday. And if you look at the little color chart up here in the pink, the light pink and the dark pink, you can see these very, very heavy amounts of snow here. It kind of decreases, but these decreases aren't, they're not drastic. We're talking still 8 to 12 inches of snow in some of these areas. So you can see how far back this travels. 2/3, I'd say about pretty close to 2/3 of the United States. All of these communities, all of these cities, all of them will be affected. And then you can see all of this area over here, all rain. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Virginia, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. It's going to be all the way over to Maryland and possibly into North Carolina, and definitely the coastal states. How fast it will move through is yet to be seen. It all depends, folks. If the jet stream pushes faster and heavier and it moves it out, it may be short-lived. But there's an issue down below with a high pressure system that is forming in the Gulf of Mexico that is pushing up against this low, and that's bad news for the people in Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi, and possibly folks in parts of Tennessee, Georgia, and even the Carolinas, dealing with, once again, sporadic or widespread tornado activity. I was just watching a report hours ago. I forget what state. I think it was in Alabama again. Ripped the entire roof off of a Walmart. Just ripped it off. So, these are some of the situations that we should be watching very, very closely. I will watch everything that's happening on the sun. If I see something that's definitely out of the normal, I'll definitely report on it, but there's not much we can do about it. The weather, yeah, there's a little bit that we can do about it. We can be prepared. We can watch how we drive. If you don't have to go out in these conditions, don't. Be prepared. Know what is coming your way. And don't take chances. Folks, all too often, we see these massive car pileups, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 cars just smashing into each other in these big pileups during these storms. So use your head, use caution, and understand that what we're seeing here now is going to be our normal life. This rapid weather change, this is going to be what we will live with from this point on. And I don't think that we are going to see any type of normalcy, not in this lifetime. That's over. That's over and done with. We are already far too deep into this massive climate change, and it is happening so rapidly. We have to learn to live with it, adjust to it. Just like man has done for thousands of years, we have to adjust. And, with our technology nowadays, maybe that adjustment will be, bad choice of words, maybe a little easier. But with some of the things that are happening out there with our sun, folks, those are things that we can't control and that we can barely prepare for. We're definitely going to see some very rapid increases in temperatures in certain areas. And if you live in those areas, heed the warning. Protect your skin. Protect your children. Do not let these children run around for hours on end out in these type of solar conditions. Just don't do it. You're literally putting their little lives in jeopardy in the very near future. And as I mentioned, we're definitely going to see rises in skin cancer over the years that are upcoming. There's just no doubt about it. So protect yourself, use your head, and, find a source of information that you yourself can trust. And you all know by now that I deal in facts the best that I can. Some of you sometimes don't like the things that I say. Sorry, but I do my homework. I got a lot of flack because I discredited Pastor Paul Begley and I discredited Mike from Around the World. Well, folks, here's the deal. I'm not some evangelist that continues to say that the end of the world is coming. I'm not some secret guy, Mike from around the world, that continues to tell people about these 5 waves of energy. Well, did we see the first wave or the second wave or the third wave? What the hell are these waves supposed to do? No. If you guys do your homework on Mr. Mike from around the world, you'll see that he's been exposed years before. So I can't please everybody, but I do my homework. That's a fact. So listen, folks, I'm going to end this little stream here. And I apologize, the last couple of live streams that I've done, the screen keeps blinking back and forth and back and forth. That was not my problem on my end. That was a glitch with YouTube. And I spent 45 minutes this morning on an email chat back and forth with YouTube's support trying to figure out that problem. And they said that they found the issue and it would probably take 24 to 48 hours for it to be fixed. I checked my last couple of premiere live streams and they seem to be okay now. But whenever I was streaming it, the problem was on their end. So it wasn't on my end. And hopefully when you're watching this one, it's crisp, it's clear, and you don't get that blinking back and forth. Hey, maybe they're doing it to me on purpose. I don't know. You know, I am right now in a very, very intense battle with YouTube. Earlier this morning, Pacific time, they got some legal paperwork from my attorney. And we're going to see how that worked out. I should probably hear something back from them within the next 72 hours. See how they swallowed that pill. We'll see. But again, folks, if any of you have not joined up to our private network and you have the financial means to do it, do it. Because there's a lot that I cannot talk about here on YouTube. I'm not going to continue wasting my time fighting with them and their platform. And the same applies with Facebook and Twitter. There is a real big push on censorship and taking away your freedom of speech, and also taking away your freedom to information. And each and every one of you should be pissed off about that. Don't be pissed off at me because I started a private platform that costs a few bucks but guarantees you uncensored information. When you pick up a newspaper, folks, and you pay $1.25 or $2.50 or whatever the hell it is, you don't go up to the cash register and complain to the clerk that you don't want to pay for the newspaper. But you want the information, but you don't want to pay for the newspaper. And I'm very sorry that I've had to go this route. I've held on at least a year without doing this. But they are targeting me, and they are targeting many, many others on YouTube and Facebook. And I can't help it, and I'm not the blame. We do have an answer. It's working out very, very well. And I appreciate everybody who has joined up with our private membership. I get inbox messages from them just about every single day, and it's all been thumbs up. I really like this. I can get my notifications. I can come here. I can review the information that you've uploaded today. And it's quite a bit of information. There's several articles and some videos and things of that nature. And we're going to be moving to advancing that. Like I said, I expanded my my Google Drive to, I think, like 2 terabytes. So I will be able to do videos like this and upload them to my drive and share the link directly on our private network. When you have the time, you can sit down at your computer, you can sit down at your table with your cell phone, you're at work, whatever you're doing, and you can sit there and privately review the information, listen to it, watch it, read it. You don't have to worry about anything. It will always be there for you guys to access it. I'm going to stay on YouTube as long as possible. But folks, at any given time, they can pull the plug on anybody. And over the last 2 years, we've seen them do that. But I wanted to be prepared. And I did the best thing that I could to prolong our existence in producing and supplying what I think is vital and valuable information. So folks, be on guard of your weather situations throughout this entire week leading into next weekend. I'll keep my eye on that mysterious sunspot and that solar activity. And if I see anything that's out of the normal, you know damn well I will report on it. If we make any new discoveries out there related to Planet X, you know where to get that information. You get that right here on Planet X News. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe. Keep an eye in the sky. Watch your weather. It's now your worst enemy. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching.